look out. Caitlin Clark pushes Angel Reese, and Angel Reese gets right up into Caitlin Clark.
Everyone in the arena had to know this foul was coming. As soon as you saw Angel Reese wide open, you knew that Caitlin Clark was going to come in and take that foul.
Hold there, then Ryan Howard doesn't like that. And there's some words between the two players as Naz Hillman quickly comes over and gets her bestie out of the scuffle.
The WNBA thought they'd figured her out. Opponents spent the entire offseason studying her every move. Veterans lined up to test her toughness, and critics swore her rookie season was just a flash in the pan. But when Caitlin Clark stepped back onto that hardwood for year 2, she didn't come looking for peace. She came swinging. And within minutes, the message was clear. This wasn't the same Caitlin Clark they saw last season. This was sharper, stronger, and far more dangerous. The first shot she took, a logo range dagger that didn't just splash through the net, it detonated across the entire arena.
Two players with incredible
It wasn't just 3 points, it was a warning. The sophomore slump you were expecting? Forget it. She's not here to survive the spotlight. She's here to burn brighter under it. But what followed wasn't just scoring, it was mind-bending passing, fearless drives, and a moment that reignited one of the WNBA's fiercest rivalries.
Everyone in the arena had to know this foul was coming. As soon as you saw Angel Reese wide open, you knew that Caitlin Clark was going to come in and take that foul.
A moment so bold it had the entire basketball world talking. And trust me, by the time she was done, Caitlin Clark had turned every doubt into fuel and every critic into a witness. If you think her rookie year was the peak, wait until you see what she just did. The ball hadn't even cooled from tip-off before Caitlin Clark made her first statement of the season. No cautious dribbling, no feeling out the defense, no let's ease into this. From the second she touched the ball, she pulled up from the logo like she'd been playing all summer without missing a beat, and the net barely moved. That shot wasn't about points. It was about planting a flag in the middle of the court and saying, "This is my territory." And that confidence did something dangerous. It forced the defense to respect her range from the very first possession. But here's the thing about Caitlin. She doesn't let you get comfortable. The moment defenders started shading out to guard the deep shot, she switched gears. She wasn't out there hunting heat-check threes. She started dissecting the floor like a surgeon, using her gravity to pull defenders out of position, then sliding passes right into her teammates' hands before the defense could recover. It wasn't flashy for the sake of being flashy. It was controlled chaos. Every dribble had a purpose. Every pass forced the defense to make an impossible choice. And just minutes into Game 1, it was already clear. This wasn't just Caitlin Clark playing basketball. This was Caitlin Clark controlling basketball. But that was only the opening act, because the way she took command of the court next would flip the game completely in her favor. You could look at the stat sheet after the first quarter and think she was having a solid game. But what was really happening couldn't be measured in numbers alone, because Caitlin Clark wasn't just in the game, she was bending it. Watch closely, and you'll see it in the way her teammates moved differently when she had the ball. Cutting sharper, rolling harder, clearing space without hesitation. Why? Because they knew she saw the floor like nobody else out there. She didn't just take what the defense gave her, she dictated what the defense was allowed to give. One hand signal, the screen comes early. One glance to the corner, the defense panics and over-rotates. Suddenly, a driving lane opens that wasn't even there 2 seconds ago. This wasn't about piling up points, it was about turning the defense into puppets, pulling strings they didn't even know were attached. And the more the defense guessed, the worse it got for them. Because against Caitlin Clark, guessing is how you end up on a highlight reel. But just when they thought they had her figured out, she unveiled a weapon that doesn't always make the headlines. And it left defenders completely frozen. Most players live in two worlds, the paint or the three-point line. Caitlin Clark, she owns the space in between. Midway through the game, with defenders stretching out to take away her deep shot, she didn't force it. Instead, she baited them. A subtle hesitation, a half-step head fake. And the defender bit just enough. One plant, one smooth pivot, and the space opened exactly where she wanted it. No extra dribbles, no wasted motion, just elevate, release, net. It wasn't loud, it wasn't flashy, but it was perfect. That's the beauty of Caitlin's game. When you think you've taken away her biggest threat, she calmly shows you she's got 3 more. Take away the drive. She'll stop on a dime and drop the mid-range. Take away the mid-range, she'll thread a pass through a gap you didn't even know existed. This is why defenders lose sleep before facing her, because there's no right way to guard her. And when she's in rhythm like this, the smallest mistake turns into a bucket. But as dangerous as that mid-range was, the night's most explosive moment wasn't about scoring at all. It was a collision, a rivalry, and a statement that set the entire WNBA buzzing. The game was already physical, but everyone in the building could feel it. Something was about to boil over. And when Angel Reese drove toward the rim, Caitlin Clark didn't back away. She met her head-on. One hard foul. The whistle blew. The refs didn't hesitate. Flagrant. The crowd erupted, and social media lit up instantly. This wasn't just a defensive play. This was a message. For months, Caitlin had been on the receiving end. Elbows, bumps, veterans testing her patience every night. But now, she wasn't just taking hits. She was delivering them. It wasn't reckless. It was calculated. A reminder to Angel, to the fans, and to the league, I'm not playing the rookie role anymore. If you want to get physical, she'll meet you there. And the best part? She didn't unravel. She didn't lose focus. Moments later, she was back running the offense, hitting shots, and making passes like nothing had happened. Because Caitlin Clark doesn't just win the scoreboard battle, she wins the mental one. But that fire from the foul didn't just make headlines, it lit a fuse. And what happened next proved she could turn raw emotion into pure execution. Some players let a heated moment throw them off their game. They start forcing shots, making sloppy plays, or letting the opponent live rent-free in their head. Caitlin Clark? She turns that heat into fuel. Right after that flagrant foul, she stepped into open space, rose up from deep, and buried the shot without a second's hesitation. No jawing, no chest pounding, just a cold reminder. You can't rattle me. From there, it was like watching a masterclass in unpredictability. One possession, she's pulling from way beyond the arc. The next, she's driving straight into the lane, absorbing contact and finishing through defenders twice her size. And when the defense finally overcommitted to stop her scoring, that's when she twisted the knife. She threaded passes through impossible gaps, finding teammates in rhythm and in stride. The kind of feeds that don't just get you points, they get you trust. Every time the defense thought they'd adjusted, she'd show them something different. That's the nightmare of playing against Caitlin Clark. You can't take away her game because her game is everywhere. And she wasn't done making statements yet, because the next milestone would prove she's not just a scorer, she's a do-it-all force. By the third quarter, the numbers were starting to stack up. But this wasn't your typical points and highlights kind of night. Caitlin Clark was filling every column on the stat sheet. She wasn't just hitting deep threes or slicing defenses apart with passes. She was crashing the boards, diving for loose balls, and igniting fast breaks before the defense even knew what happened. Then came the moment. One more rebound, and she'd lock in her first triple-double of the season. The shot went up. She boxed out hard, secured the ball, and didn't even pause to celebrate. Instead, she turned, looked up court, and fired a pinpoint full-court pass that landed perfectly in her teammate's hands. It didn't matter that it didn't lead to a bucket. That pass said it all. Her rebounds aren't the end of the play. They're the start of the next one. That's the difference between a star and a floor general. A star scores. A floor general changes the tempo of the game every time they touch the ball. And on this night, Caitlin was both. But as impressive as that triple-double was, Game 2 would take things to a whole new level. And it wasn't just about numbers. It was about proving toughness in the face of even more pressure. If Game 1 was about skill, Game 2 was about grit. From the opening minutes, defenders made it clear. If Caitlin wanted buckets tonight, she'd have to fight for every single one. And she did. Driving hard into the paint, defenders draped over her. She took the hit, kept her balance, and still finished through contact. The whistle blew. The ball dropped through the net. That wasn't just 2 points. That was a message to the entire league. You can't bully me out of my game. But here's where she separates herself. Most players, after taking that kind of punishment, would slow things down, try to catch their breath. Not Caitlin. On the very next possession, she read the defense perfectly, rose up with a hand in her face, and drilled the shot anyway. That's the thing. She's not just reacting to what defenders throw at her, she's dictating it. If they give her space, she'll shoot. If they close the gap, she'll drive. And if they somehow manage to stick with her, she'll just rise above and make the shot impossible to contest. But the most dangerous version of Caitlin Clark isn't the one scoring in isolation. It's the one that gets her entire team humming. And what she did next transformed the offense completely. When a superstar takes over a game, it's impressive. When a superstar lifts everyone around them to play at their absolute best, that's leadership. After setting the tone with her own scoring, Caitlin shifted gears. Suddenly, the ball was whipping around the court faster than the defense could react. Drive to draw 2, kick to the wing, swing to the corner. bang. It was beautiful basketball, and it all started with her vision. Her teammates weren't just standing around waiting for her to shoot, they were cutting harder, moving smarter, because they knew if they found the space, Caitlin would find them. The trust was obvious, the chemistry was real, and the defense? They couldn't guard all 5 players when all 5 were in rhythm. But make no mistake, she still knew when to flip the switch and take matters into her own hands. Because leadership isn't just about sharing the ball, it's about knowing the exact moment your team needs you to grab it and say, "Follow me." And with the clock winding down and the momentum hanging in the balance, Caitlin was about to deliver the kind of back-to-back daggers that crush a defense's soul. The game was hanging in the balance. One run could swing it either way. And that's when Caitlin Clark decided to end the debate. First possession, no hesitation. She spotted the defender sagging just a step too far, rose up from deep, and drilled it. The crowd erupted, but Caitlin didn't even flinch. She was already back on defense, eyes locked, ready for the next one, and it came fast. Barely a minute later, she brought the ball up again. The defense knew what was coming. They pushed up, hand in her face. It didn't matter. Another step back, another splash. 6 points in 60 seconds. Those weren't just shots, they were momentum killers. The kind that make a crowd go silent and force a coach to call a timeout just to stop the bleeding. For defenders, it's psychological torture. You do everything right and still watch the ball drop through the net. But Caitlin wasn't done. Now that every defender was leaning her way, she used that gravity to thread a laser pass through traffic, hitting her teammate in stride for an easy bucket. In less than 3 minutes, she'd scored, assisted, and completely flipped the energy of the game. And by the time the buzzer sounded, there was no doubt. Caitlin Clark's sophomore season wasn't a question anymore. It was an answer. Caitlin Clark came into this season with a target on her back. Veterans were ready to test her, critics were waiting for her to